Good afternoon and welcome to episode 36 of Red True Diaries. Let's see if we can keep that balance just so, okay. Alright, give it another go. So, today, this thing don't stop. Okay. Should hopefully stay. Alright. So, today I'd like to talk about shame because I watched the video that I made the other day talking about vulnerability and how hard it was for me to admit to myself, let alone other people, that my feelings for someone 15 years younger than me were deeper than I cared them to be. And a big part of that wasn't just, me falling in love with someone. I love being in love, in case, you didn't know this. But a big part of it was, a big part of the hardship for me was that I was ashamed. I felt like I should have known better. I didn't think that I didn't realize just how deep my feelings ran in terms of not giving credit to this person that I am in love with and started to realize I was in love with, over 2 years ago. It showed, that's what I've learned and have grown so much as a result. And again, I say these things so that anyone else who finds themselves in a similar situation can possibly get past their own fears and anxieties about such things. Because sometimes, when I think about all I would have missed out on through now in terms of realizing what a wonderful person he is and giving him his due credit as a human being and a spiritual being, having human experiences, with me especially. Yeah, it's just crazy. It's just that I almost didn't allow that to happen because of his age. When I first found out that he was 20 and I was 35, I mean, it's only been within the past 5 or 6 months that I've stopped thinking of him even as a kid. In my mind, I would just be like, oh my gosh, this kid. And just not take it seriously, in part because I was embarrassed. Yeah, by the way, if you hear that's rain going on, it's a rainy day here in Philadelphia today. And so some people might feel that, if they date someone outside of their race or outside of their religion, or even outside of their sex, I've mentioned, people have issues, obviously, with their own sexuality, and I once dated someone who I swear he's gay. Even though we had a great sexual relationship, I just felt like if I was a man, I think that he would have been happier on a certain level. And actually, when I addressed him about it, his first response was, my family would never understand. And that just doesn't seem like someone who's straight, how someone who is straight would respond. As their first response to their girlfriend asking them if, they felt like they were gay. And so, that's what shame and feeling, some degree of guilt or bad about something brings up. It's tough to contend with in terms of how society, how our friends, how our family is going to react to something. It does play a huge factor. And so, from my own personal experience, I I cared as much until the situation came up in my life. And I also remember thinking, you know, when I was in high school, how would other people perceive me dating someone 2 years younger than me? Because that's the first time I ever realized that, you know, I had something against dating younger people. But in this instance, again, 15 years is no joke. And with them being 20, so this was part of the bias that I realized with people who are younger. It's, you know, granted, that is a truth about before you're 25, your prefrontal lobes having, you know, not been fully developed yet, and your sense of judgment isn't all there. So part of the reason I didn't take them seriously, because I'm like, you know, I don't even trust your judgment, and let's give it, you know, give you some more time. And it's, I wasn't demeaning and certainly not berating to him. I did like him, you know, enough as a person to obviously have some interest in him, but I didn't think that he'd be as deep as he is. And I remember one of the first things that he shared with me was a TEDx talk. One of the things that, you know, really got me to to pay more attention and take him a bit more seriously was when he told me about one of his favorite talks called A Stroke of Insight by Susan Bolte Taylor. And she's a neurologist or neuroscientist, someone who studies the brain, and she had a stroke, and she went very much into her right side of her brain. The stroke was on her left side, so the only part that was functioning was the right side, and she went into a nirvanic state. I've mentioned this in a previous episode, but so it was this guy who had told me about it, and it's funny because that's exactly when I'm with him, that's how I feel. I go into this more right-brained way of thinking, which is more about feeling and being at one. And one of Susan Bolte Taylor's messages is to balance ourselves by living our lives, tapping into that right brain state more, as opposed to just staying more in our left brain state, which is very, you know, pragmatic, more methodical, more linear in terms of thinking, as opposed to being focused on the experience of what is present here and now. And so I love that. I mean, if there's, you know, anything, you know, that is important to me about someone that I'm dating, it's having some type of spiritual rapport and connection. So I already felt the connection from day one with him, because he was someone who was like, as soon as I saw him, immediately the eye contact on my end, not his, because he didn't even remember the first time I met him, but I still remember that first day and being struck by him. But again, when I realized how young he was, I acknowledged an attraction, but I didn't take him seriously as someone who would be a good match for me to date and as a partner. And then the more I got to know him and see the qualities that he embodies in terms of, you know, he's creative and he's funny and he's intelligent and he's kind and he's caring and he's trustworthy. I mean, he's in the 2.5 years that I've really gotten to know him, he's one of few men who I have felt like have looked out after me and does look out after women in general. As far as I know of, he's never lied to me about anyone he's dated. He's always been honest with me about whom he's dating at the time, and enjoys being in monogamous relationships, committed monogamous relationships, instead of, you know, complaining about them, or when he is single, trying to be with as many women as he can. It's just more the exception than the norm. I mean, I'm not just talking about people I've dated, I'm talking about people I know who have dated guys and their history and experiences, as well as just being friends with guys. This young guy, the one that I'm in love with, is exceptional. And so the more I got to know him and allow those feelings to come up and out, the less shame that I felt, although it was still hard to, you know, tell certain people whom I knew would automatically think, you know, when I mentioned this guy that I'm interested in, that they would think that it's just a boy toy or just a, you know, sexual thing, and that's all it could be, and not take him as a person, let alone my feelings for him, seriously. My closest friends did, and it was still hard even telling them at first. And they've all been extremely supportive, even more than I thought they would be. And then I slowly got to see that I, as many of us know, I was my own worst enemy in this regard, and worst judge and jury. I did have one acquaintance I told, a coworker at one point, and she's like, she didn't say what the hell are you thinking, but she's like, what the hell? He's only, I think, 20 or 21 at that time, and yeah, I mean, she echoed, part of the fear and hesitancy that I had going in, but I just, at that point already, there was no, at least to myself, there was no denying those feelings. And so what I wanted to, sum up this episode by saying is that the more that I allow myself to recognize just, being in love and how amazing love can be, the more I thrive in life, the more satisfied I am, the more orgasmic I feel, because it helps me remember what that feeling is even like. And we can all feel in love by ourselves. We don't need somebody else. It's like a drug in terms of certain feelings. Drugs, say, such as, mushrooms or LSD, they can awaken realities for us. They can be a doorway, but we can access that part of our nature by ourselves. And that's what I've done my best to use states of being in love and loving to help me remember my God nature. Because oftentimes I'd heard and read, I grew up Christian and Lutheran, about God being love, love is God. And so, and even in my most spiritual moments and awakenings, I do agree, and that's one of the most beautiful things that I feel like a human being can experience, is being in that ultimate state of love that's, beyond romance, that's beyond sex, that's beyond family and friends, but, a state of encompassing all the happiness and the sadness, the pleasure and the pain. And that's what I take from these experiences when I've been expanded, let's say, when my heart, like that, there's an image of the Sacred Heart of Jesus where he's opening his chest, and that's what it's like for me. Because like I said, I mean, this guy, he lives 3,000 miles away. He has a girlfriend who he's happy with, and I'm happy for him, and they're a great match together. And yet I can still use these feelings of feeling in love with him to bring a certain joy and pleasure and gratitude into my everyday moments of life, because especially because he's a healthy person, not some self-destructive jerk. And those are harder. I've fallen in love with the self-destructive jerks before, and it's just tough not to allow myself to, go down a similar path. And so, yeah, when using these feelings well, we can do so much good in our lives and the lives of others. It's a feeling that I wish I could invite, and so, but I say I'm open to, but all I feel like I can do is, when I recognize it, honor it. And that's what I'm doing my best to do, is honor these feelings of love and of God, of the goddess of life, and yeah, and use them to the best of my ability. So even though, like the lotus that started in the mud, I feel that even though, these feelings for me, due to this guy's age, sorry, I wanted to take that text away. Due to this guy's age, I have felt ashamed. They have really helped me grow and also be more compassionate to other people who battle with, certain things that are hard to get past in terms of, societal standards and norms. Yeah, because like, I'm multiracial, so I've never had to deal with the race issue, and I'm very open-minded spiritually, so it doesn't really matter the religion. But yeah, being open to somebody who's so much younger and honestly, when people are younger, they tend to be, you know, a lot more immature, a lot less caring, and even when they're older, they could be that way. So, yeah, and that's what's blown me away that much more. And now, and that's why I say I am humbled, because I recognize how much of my ego was at play, and I'm glad that I didn't allow it to keep me from this amazing experience of being in love with someone who is so remarkable and amazing, and has allowed me to live a more remarkable and amazing life as a result. It's, you know, all part and parcel. I don't give him full credit. I give, honestly, the creator and nature and God the most credit. But yeah, yeah, I'm no longer ashamed. If anything, I'm actually proud. I feel honored that he has had any interest in me, let alone has been so awesome to me in the time that we have spent together. So that is it. Thank you for watching and listening, and may you blow your own mind and self and others away in the process of living this amazing, wonderful life as well. I love you. Mwah.